Welcome to Chateau Rant, where I rant about what my $20 a month patrons ask me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one comes from Dex Aoi Soul, who asks, I see that you're a fan of science fiction, but you haven't talked about Firefly. Just got to continue. You have to be Alright, let's start this off by talking about what this video isn't. This is not meant to be a savage takedown of your favorite sci-fi show of all time. If you really love this show and don't care to hear some nerd's opinion on why she thinks it's terrible, well, you really don't have to watch. I know some people are going to take offense or take this personally, like, why do you have to be all mean to this thing I like? Well, because I gotta. Part of making this is trying to figure out why my own feelings for this show are so strong. I'm not good with names of people, especially actors. I just can't be bothered to remember these names when they have no utility to my life. But I probably should have been paying more attention to writers and directors, the stuff that I like, so I could start seeing the personality of those people in their works. This kind of pseudo-psychoanalyzing someone from their art. I feel it's the main point of art in the first place. By creating your art, you're distilling a part of yourself and packaging it in a way that others may appreciate. This is possible for all parts of a production like a TV show or a movie to some extent, although it seems that the design by committee philosophy does remove a lot of the soul that may have been put into that work. So anyway, Joss Whedon. Based on what people tell me about him, I picture this larger-than-life superhero. Growing up, especially as a teenager, all my friends loved this guy and constantly sucked his dick. Joss Whedon's so smart. He has such good characters. He's so funny. So you love this guy, apparently. And I'm sitting here like, have I even watched anything he's ever made before? People told me straight up that I should watch Firefly just because it was made by Joss Whedon. As if that was all the reason that I needed. So let's look at the shit that he apparently worked on previous to Firefly. Because clearly he must have worked on some fucking great shit. In writing the script, I learned apparently he worked on Toy Story. That's cool, I guess. It had some impressive graphics for its time. Hell, they stand up even today. The story wasn't anything special. It was like someone saw Brave Little Toaster and was like, let's do that, but with toys. So what else? Alien Resurrection. Okay, so it's the Alien movie where, having beaten the horse to death, scientists in the future clone the horse so they can do it again. Awesome. Titan AE. I don't think I've ever seen this movie. Looks like garbage. Atlantis, the Lost Empire? You mean the Stargate ripoff? Oh my god. This movie deserves a rant all by itself, but not today. And then Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Of course. Wait. There's a movie? Oh my god. While I would never watch this fucking schlocky mess of a travesty, I can at least appreciate that it's willing to do just what it wants for fun. But no, I was talking about the other Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Honestly, I can't get into the details of this show about what I think about it because I never really watched it. Apathy would be one word for it, and apathy just isn't very interesting to me. I tend to seek after the extremity of my views, the profane to the most divine, and thus the mechanism to my inner self is most pronounced. I can see to the root of it by following through the branches and leaves. I watched a lot of Charmed back then, but almost no Buffy. I think the combination of high school and vampires just didn't do it for me. Like, how the hell is the fact that there are vampires around not going to just become common knowledge? How are the students going to go missing on a weekly basis and shit not going to create some huge fucking FBI manhunt? I just can't suspend my disbelief enough to get into the core conceit. Bitch, I brought up Charmed because the reason I was able to get into it was because of this in the first episode. The original Charmed opens up in a literal police investigation into the deaths of witches, and one of the police officer guys is like, I don't know if magic is real, but the people dying are literal witches, so we should be basing our investigation on that. Blah. Anyway, what I'm getting at is I don't like Buffy, and Angel likewise. I don't come from the cult of Wheaton. I don't think everything he makes is amazing. I barely know what he's even made. So take that into consideration. All of these people who tell me to watch the show all say, watch the first episode first. Watch the pilot first, because it does such a good job. It's a master class in being a pilot. It explains everything that the show has to say in the pilot episode, and I totally disagree. I feel like I have to talk about Firefly now. I have been recording so much shit to do anything but talk about Firefly. I must have recorded 7 hours of video and audio beating the bush around talking about Firefly at this point. So let's finally get to it. Why do I not like Firefly? Episode 1. What do we open on? So episode 1 opens on this giant fucking battle. Just battle nonsense. People are shooting each other. There's fucking tanks driving all over the place. People are dying. I can't tell what the fuck is going on. I can't tell who's who. I can't tell what the fuck is happening. Who are these guys? Why are they fighting? What are they fighting over? For why are they fighting? For who are they fighting? How long have they been fighting? What are the stakes of this battle? What's going to happen after this battle? What's led up to this battle? I don't know any of the answers to any of these questions. Now, we are 35 seconds into this show. Okay? And we have nothing but establishing shots of this fucking battle. We finally see someone who may be our main character, who turns out to be our main character. So immediately these guys start talking to this guy. I don't know what the hierarchy is here. I don't know who's supposed to be in charge. From what it seems like to me immediately is this guy is the guy in charge. He is the leader of this group of people. And so they're reporting back to him, and they're like, what do we need to do? The higher ups are like, we don't know what to do. And he's like, we need air support. And so the guy's like, well, they won't move without a lieutenant's authorization code. And he just walks over to this guy and pulls off the badge and is like, you're lieutenant now. Was that guy the guy who was in charge before, and now he's dead, and now he's making this other guy under who had authority? What is authority? So now we get a little bit of establishing dialogue talking about them coming into Serenity Valley. The Alliance saying they're going to come into Serenity Valley, and apparently this is Serenity Valley, but we don't know that for sure because they never actually say that that's the case. For all we know, it could be some other valley. But yes, we can make the leap that this is the Serenity Valley, and that they are defending it against the Alliance, who said that they shouldn't have, should just easily crush it. But I still don't know what the stakes are. I still don't know what this implies for the greater battle. Is this one battle on one planet? Is this one battle among many planets? I don't know. I don't know the scope. I don't know what it means, this battle. It's really hard to tell. It's hard to tell how important these characters are. In an anime, if I was watching this, I would still not know for sure who my main characters are here. If it was Attack on Titan or something, right? You'd be like, well, these guys are definitely important for this episode, but I don't know if they're important to the story overall. I mean, the OP would probably fix that. So they shoot down the airship, and he laughs about almost dying, and then gets back, and the other guys are dead, and he's like, oh well, whatever. The tonal shifting in this makes me really have whiplash. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who I should care about, and I don't know why I should care about anyone. Who is supposed to be endearing? No one is a good guy in this thing so far. I don't like anyone. The show just fucking murders me with this line. I cannot believe someone would write in a script this line. We're not gonna die. We're too pretty. It's it's funny because you think about it as if a normal person saying that. Oh yeah, we're not gonna die because we're too pretty. Like, they can still die, you know? Like, who the fuck are they? There's some random person. This is a character in a TV show. If MacGyver's saying, I can't die because I'm too pretty, I'm gonna slap that motherfucker in the face and stop watching the show. Like, you can't have your characters acknowledging that they are immortal, okay? You just don't do it. That's a bad idea. It's not helpful. This genuinely makes me laugh every single time I see it. The sappy fucking violin music comes in, and the big ships come down. Cut. Bendix gets shot. And the guy doesn't even give a shit. Whoever he is. Cut in on his face. I don't even, okay. This one fucking scene, image. I don't even know what the fuck is happening in this picture. This picture has so much shit happening in it, and I don't know any of it. What are these big green ship things? What the fuck are these other ships? Where the fuck did they come from? What is this base down here? What is any of this shit? Like, I haven't been explained a single goddamn thing. I don't know the context of anything that's happening. Is this a supply depot? Is this a fucking important fucking place? Or is this just the rock it looks like it is? Like, why is this so important? I don't understand. And at this point, I am so frustrated with the show that I don't want to watch it anymore. My autism has finally been shattered in this video, and I just can't deal with it anymore. So this is why I hate Firefly. This fucking scene right here. This is the weakest fucking 5-minute opening of anything ever. Like, explain your fucking show. Fucking tell me what the fuck is going on. Get me into it. This is not emotional investment. This is not action investment. This has no appeal to it at all. Like, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Fucking God. All right. So I'm gonna turn the tide over to some other bitch. Okay. So have I scared away everyone yet? Is it just you and me now? All alone together? That's good. That's just the way I like it. I don't like to be bothered by people who don't get where I'm coming from, you know? Or who aren't willing to try to understand where I'm coming from. Because if you're still here, it doesn't mean necessarily that you get where I'm coming from. It means that you have a higher tolerance for other people's bullshit than most. And, you know, you're interested enough in what I have to say that you're willing to listen. At least for your own fetish reasons. So I don't know. So now that we are alone, I want to talk about my real feelings on Firefly. Not these bullshit feelings that, you know, I kind of go off the rails on. But I really did not like the show when I was, like, young. I didn't have the patience for it. I did not like it. It was too different from the shows I liked. But it wasn't, like, it reminded me of anime in a lot of ways. It reminded me of stuff like Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Outlaw Star, like all this other stuff that I've seen previous to watching this. And those shows all did the space western better, in my opinion. Aesthetically, Triguns is just perfect. I love that aesthetic. It's cartoony, it's fun, but Cowboy Bebop gives a much more serious version of that, and that's great too. Uh, Outlaw Star is amazing. I love everything about Outlaw Star. It's fucking great. So I like the idea of space western, but I never liked Firefly. I watched the whole thing fairly recently, multiple times, trying to understand why I didn't like it. And it's because the whole time I'm thinking this would just be way better if it was an anime. Like, if the characters were anime characters and they did the over the top things that anime characters did, and they could demonstrate this stuff in the over the top style of animation that you see in anime, it would be amazing. You'd get like this weird kind of, I don't know, family stuck in a submarine kind of vibe. And that's another thing that bothers me about this show, is it could have been handled like Eureka 7, where it's like a spaceship like flying from city to city, but it's like an airship. It's not like in space. There's no reason why the universe is as big as it is. You never get a sense for how large the universe is. You never get a sense that there are like further away places or close to places. They're never talking about distance. The only episode that ever mentions how long it takes to get from point A to point B is the episode where it is relevant, and that is because they get stuck in the literal middle of nowhere. And it's like, shows that are as sci-fi as this show looks to us, they don't go into any details about, like, we don't know what the ship runs on. It runs on fuel. What is that fuel? Who knows? Where do you get the fuel? Who cares? It's fuel. And that's great for like making it like, a metaphor, but it also doesn't help us to know, like, is fuel expensive? Where do they get the fuel? Where is it found commonly? Is it relatively rare or is it relatively common? Like in Star Trek, if we lose the dilithium crystals, we know that's actually a relatively big deal, because the dilithium crystals can't be replicated. They have to be manufactured from a planet. Like, they have to be dug up from the Earth. And not all stars and planets have them. And so it's not like if you get stuck without your dilithium crystals and you're on some planet that doesn't have it, like, you need to signal for help or find some other way of going to warp without dilithium crystals. Like, you're screwed, basically. So like, stuff like that is relevant because it allows you to create a sense of tension using the metaphors that you've built. When they run out of fuel, I don't know what that means. I don't know how hard it is to get fuel. I don't know how far away they are from anything. I don't know, like, it's a cool, like, heel turn that the food is the big deal. Like, it looks like it's going to be gold bars, but no, it's bars of food. And that's, like, a good, like, heel turn. But it's an obvious one that like, I would have already thought of. It's not, like, surprising to me. It's like, in this, like, type of a situation, food is more valuable than metal. Like, we're in space, we can harvest meteors. Like, that's not surprising. But what is surprising is that all of these planets throughout the entire galaxy have split apart and have settled these small moons and planets that had been terraformed. And for some reason, they're all Westerners. Like, they're all, like, little cowboys and Indians. Like, why? Why would that happen? Like, apparently it's a combination of, like, Western and Chinese, Asian influence. But as far as I can tell, that's just the major influences on this culture. And the culture is influenced by every culture that went to space. Like, people from all over the world. And so there might, why wouldn't there be, like, pockets of, like,
a little like Russian like group of planets, or like an Asian group of planets, or like you go to one planet and it's like Elven Highlands. Like it was a bunch of fucking nerds who liked Lord of the Rings and created a civilization based on Lord of the Rings. And you go to a different planet and you're now on like Catgirl planet, and then like you go to another planet and it's Western. Sure, like a lot of these planets, the ones they like to go to are Western or whatever. But like, I don't know. Diversity would have been nice. The only time you really see any kind of diversity is in the episode where they have the hospital, and you see like a modern world, and like that was good that they had at least one planet that seemed to be different and like seemed to have technology, and like it just would have been nice to see a spectrum of different kinds of little societies, pocket societies that are forming on these small communities that like you have 100 people to a moon. Like what kind of autistic shit could be born from that? Like any kind. That would be insane. So it makes me mad because there's so much potential. The show is full of potential, and I get frustrated when something has this great ember of an idea and doesn't go very far with it because they're afraid of pushing it. And that's what's happened here. Like there was a spark that's there, and I can see it. When I close my eyes and listen to the dialogue and just imagine whatever I want, it's way more interesting, because instead of like fencing and it's real fencing and I can't tell the difference between someone who's amazing and someone who's terrible, so I can't tell that they're like toying with him. I can see like, if someone who's like an anime expert at fencing is going against like someone who's like inept, because you can animate that in a way that anyone can tell. And that's like way better. It's nicer to see, because I'm stupid and I can't see emotions and I can't tell when something is good or bad. So you have to tell me. But then you could also have like superhuman feats and exaggerate things beyond belief. Like it's just way more fun. Like, it frustrates me. And I just gotta say, at this point, that Digibro brings up is a really good one, about boiling things down to something that's actionable. Like, if you see a topic, any topic, the KyoAni fire. Let's get edgy. let's go for that edgy shit. The KyoAni fire for any topic. The KyoAni fire. There is the tweet, KyoAni fire, 33 dead. What do you do? Okay. I'm going to tell you what I do. Okay. But I'm curious what you do. Do you just like immediately like scroll through the Twitter feed going, KyoAni fire, like what can we learn? I'm going to tweet somebody. I'm going to scroll more. I'm going to tweet some. And there's a donation. I can do that. Or do you do something more like, KyoAni fire. Okay, YouTube, KyoAni fire. And get a video of like newscasts in Japan. Be like, okay, well, that's interesting footage of the fire. Like I get to see like that, what it looks like there. I don't know. Who would this be affecting? I'm going to go check out like, let's Google search it. KyoAni fire. You get like these news articles. You get these news articles that are like, Kyoto Animation is like a cartoon art studio, and they had lots of mothers employed, and kids were in the building, and they're very progressive, and it's an awful shame that these mothers who are probably single mothers have their kids and then burn. Like, oh God, just kill me. Pushing this agenda, right? And you can see it, you know it's there, right? But this triggers all these tweets, because it's a progressive and virtue signaling and what all this bullshit. And that just keeps these masses distracted. It's like, here's a rattle, play with a rattle, kids. And they're like, hey, I'm angry because the poor architecture in Japan, and why didn't they have like more exits, and how come the door was locked from the inside? 33 people died, okay? Like, isn't this important to like drill down to like who this person who did this is? What caused this incident? Okay, yes, there are architectural issues. Yes, the fire like probably shouldn't have like killed that many people if the door would have been able to be opened because they're not afraid of suicide or whatever. You know, we're not getting into all that. But the person who did this, what's going to drive someone to do it? There's some reason. There has to be some reason. It's absurd that there wouldn't be. So what is it? Where do you go for speculation on something like that? I turn to my good old friends 8chan and 4chan, because Reddit, you know, what's Reddit going to do? These aren't real people. Those are all AI constructs. Arisu-chan. Places like this. That's where I tend to go. Because this is where people like, they don't give a shit who's listening, right? These are people who, you know, I'm going to say literally whatever comes to my mind, because what are you going to do? Like, tell me no? So any whim becomes a message on there. And that's great, because you can get real opinions of people. And there's like people being like, yeah, anime deserved it. Anime deserved this. This impact that this event is having is causing a schism in the anime community. There's people who are like, yeah, anime deserved this because, you know, Fujo bait and all this shit, and KyoAni has abandoned their roots, and they don't no longer care about like real anime. They haven't been good since Haruhi. and it's like, okay. But this is like a real reaction that it really had on someone. This is like important to the details, right? At least it is to me. Like, it's important to know who these people are who are affected and why. And so we find out, at least in my reading, find out that he may have like wrote a light novel that was ripped off by Kyoto Animations. And if that's really the case, then like, can you really feel bad for this guy? Like, who, I don't know what he wrote. Like, maybe he doesn't have a case, but like, it's a little early to just jump full in on Kyoto Animation. Yeah, like, this guy killed 33 people, but your employees. I know people who worked for Amazon. You know, she does bring up a good point. Amazon might have a good game plan. They might be doing things as good as they can, playing as optimally, and you know, if people are still getting hurt, it's because they're just not smart enough to actually do everything. You know, they've done it as good as they can. This is their limit, but it's better than the person before. So, you know, you may like it's good enough for now, and maybe someone else will come along who will fix those problems too. But, you know, for now, we take what we can get. That's fine. I guess I agree. That's a good point. It is a good point. Like, most of it. So it's like, oh God, you're so bad at communicating, you dumb hoe. What? What? Oh my God. Always. I was almost lost for a moment. I didn't know where to go. Holy shit. I'm gonna blow your mind. Okay, we've been off track for a little while. We don't investigate the new footage for where we're supposed to go necessarily.
Way of describing
Oh.
Amazon. It started as a book company, but Bezos had no special love for books. That was always just a good way of generating capital for his real dream.
I feel like there needs to be a word for something that's kind of like the opposite of nostalgia. Is a potential future I am seeing in being there. That's something that could happen. And being in a place for the first time with the sensation of this may be a place that I will come to know intimately, like beyond what most people like understand. And like looking into it with a familiarity that you don't yet have. What is that called? What do you call that?